The twin suns of Zarian Prime were setting behind the silver mountains, bathing the sky in purple and red light. The crowd inside the royal arena was louder than thunder. Aliens of all shapes and colors filled the stone seats, cheering and shouting. For blood, at the center of the arena stood the Princess of Zarion. Proud and beautiful, her long golden armor shined in the light, and her blue skin sparkled with ancient royal markings. She was known across galaxies as a fierce warrior and a merciless ruler. Many had tried to challenge her, and all had failed. But today was different. A strange figure walked into the arena, slow and silent. The crowd grew quiet. Watching him closely, he wore a thick, dark suit of armor that covered his whole body. His helmet had no face, just a black surface that reflected the light like glass. This was the human. He didn't speak, didn't raise his hand. He simply stood there, facing the princess without fear. His armor looked heavy, but his movements were smooth and silent. Some aliens laughed, some whispered. The princess scoffed and raised her voice. "Is this what Earth sends to face me? A metal statue with no face? You hide behind your armor like a scared child." The warrior said nothing. She circled him slowly, inspecting his gear. "Tell me, human, does your planet still think machines can protect weak flesh? Or do you carry bombs in your chest like cowards do?" She mocked. Still, he didn't move. Then someone from the royal box whispered, "That's him. The one they call the Ghost of Titan, the only survivor of the Black Moon Wars." A hush spread. Across the arena, the princess laughed again, but this time it was nervous, fine metal ghost. "Let me see the face of Earth's so-called hero." Slowly, the human lifted both hands and began to unlock his helmet. The sound of metal twisting echoed through the air. One by one, the locks opened, steam hissing from hidden vents. The armor hissed like a breathing beast. Then he took off the helmet. Gasps filled the arena. His face was human, but not fully. His skin had a strange glow, marked with scars that pulsed with light. His eyes were silver, without pupils. His hair was short, almost burned away, and his jaw was made of a living metal that shifted slightly as he breathed. This was no normal man. This was a weapon in human form. The princess froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She had expected a frightened man, weak and soft. Instead, she saw something born from war, something designed to survive the worst the universe could throw. Without a word, he removed the rest of his armor, piece by piece. His body was covered in nanoskin, smooth and dark like stone, but alive. It moved slightly with every breath. Tiny lights blinked across his chest and arms, like a silent language. The warrior stepped forward. The princess took a step back. He stopped in front of her, just a few feet away, and finally spoke. His voice was deep and calm. "I didn't come here to play games." The silence was deafening. She looked at him carefully. "Now unsure, then why are you here?" He tilted his head to see if your people are ready. "Ready for what?" she asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he looked up at the crowd, his silver eyes scanning every face. "You mock Earth, but you don't understand what's coming." The princess clenched her fists. "We are not afraid of humans." The warrior looked back at her. "Then prove it." Without tricks, without armor, she narrowed her eyes. A challenge. He nodded once. "Tomorrow, I face your champion. After that, you." The crowd roared again, half in excitement, half in fear. The princess stepped close. "You won't leave this planet alive." He smiled slightly, and for a second, the scars on his face glowed brighter. "We'll see." Then he turned and walked away, leaving his armor behind like the shell of something that had already evolved. The princess stared at it. The armor still warm, still hissing softly. For the first time in years, she felt something strange in her chest. Doubt, long before the twin sons of Zarian ever touched his face. The warrior had already died once, not with blood, not with screams, but in silence, in deep space, where no one hears a soul break. Years ago, Earth was burning, not from alien attack, but from its own mistakes. Too much war, too much pride. The sky was black with smoke, and oceans boiled under endless storms. The governments were falling, and people were begging for hope. That's when Project Silo was born. Not a weapon, not a soldier, something between. Something that could live where humans could not, fight where machines would fail, never, ever break. He was the third subject. His name was erased. His family never knew what happened. He was taken below the Earth's surface, deep into the ice labs under Antarctica. There, they changed him slowly, painfully, cell by cell. They said it would only hurt at the beginning. They lied. His bones were rebuilt with memory metal. His blood was filled with nanotech that could freeze, repair, or explode depending on orders. His mind connected to the Milcore AI, a ghost inside. His brain that whispered calculations faster than thought. He didn't sleep after that. Not really. The first mission was on Titan, Saturn's moon. A human colony had gone dark. Something alien had landed, something with teeth and no language. They called it the Black Bloom. He went in alone. The footage was never shown to the public. What he saw was worse than war. Alien screams, twisted life. Gravity bending in strange ways. He fought for 72 hours without rest, lost his arm twice. Burned off his face once. He came back with 300 colonists behind him, man-eating alien corpses strapped to the hull of his ship. That's when they called him the Ghost of Titan. He was no longer human, not to them, not to himself. Back in the arena tunnels of Zarion, the warrior sat alone on a stone bench. His armor lay beside him like an empty coffin. His hand touched the scar on his neck, where the AI chip still pulsed. He could feel the Milcore inside. Always awake, always watching. Why are you holding back? The AI voice whispered in his mind. He didn't answer. The royal guards outside his cell were whispering too. He doesn't sleep, he doesn't eat. What is he? The warrior closed his eyes, and for a moment, he wasn't on Zarion anymore. He was back on Earth, standing in a field of ashes, watching cities fall. A promise rang in his ears, his own voice, long ago, saying, "Never again. I'll make sure no one else burns." That's why he was here. Zarion was next. Not today. Not tomorrow, but soon. The same dark force that destroyed Earth's colonies was spreading. And these arrogant aliens didn't even see it. The princess thought he was just a fighter, just a soldier with fancy armor. She had no idea he was here to save her from her own people. Suddenly, the stone doors opened. A messenger from the court stepped in. "The princess has summoned you." The warrior stood slowly, towering over the alien. Without a word, he followed as they walked through the glowing palace halls. The walls were covered with paintings, alien victories, burning human cities, smiling alien generals holding Earth flags like trophies. He paused at one painting. It showed a human soldier begging for mercy, a Zarian warrior above him, blade raised. The warrior stared at it for a long moment, then whispered, "That never happened." The messenger looked confused. "What did you say?" "Nothing," he replied, but inside, something dark was rising. Not anger, not hate, resolve. He entered the royal hall again. The princess stood at the far end. Guards around her, fire torches lighting the room in red and gold. "You slept well, I hope?" she asked with a smile. He looked her in the eyes. "I don't sleep." "Princess," she laughed. "Tomorrow you face our champion, strongest of my people." He didn't blink. "After that, I face you." She stepped closer. "Do you think you can defeat all of us?" He looked past her through the palace window, where stars hung like silent witnesses. I've already defeated worse. And outside, far beyond Zarion, in the black corners of space, something ancient stirred, watching, waiting. The arena didn't sleep that night under the twin moons of Zarion. The stone walls breathed with electric light. The crowd was already forming before sunrise, waiting for blood, waiting for fear, waiting for the games, but the warrior wasn't. In his chamber, he stood alone in the arena's center before the games even began. His body still bare of armor, his silver eyes staring into the dark sky like he could see something no one else could. "Why are you here so early?" A guard asked from the shadows. The warrior didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the sand below his feet and whispered, "This place will remember today." Soon the horns screamed. Fire roared from the gates, and the alien games began. These weren't normal fights. They were tradition sacred, brutal, and meant to break outsiders. 7 trials, 7 enemies, each chosen from a different species across the galaxy. Some crawled, some flew. Some didn't even have bones, but none had ever fought Earth's ghost. The first challenger was a brute, named Kor, 3 meters tall, with skin like broken stone and arms thick as tree trunks. He roared and charged, his hammer raised like a meteor falling from the sky. The warrior didn't move until the last second. Then he slid under the hammer with perfect timing and touched the brute's leg with just 2 fingers, a pulse of blue. Light flashed, then Kor fell, motionless. His nervous system had been shut down in one touch. The crowd screamed. The princess narrowed her eyes. Trial after trial began, each opponent faster, more dangerous. Some spat acid, others could bend. Light, one dissolved into gas and tried to choke him from the inside. But the warrior moved like water. No wasted steps, no anger, no noise. He didn't kill. He disabled, blocked, redirected. Even when he could crush a skull or tear a throat, he didn't. He was showing them something. The princess watched from above, her hands tight around the throne rail. At first, she thought he was lucky. Then she thought he was skilled. Now, she wasn't sure he was even real in the 6th round. They sent the twins' telepathic sisters from the frozen world of Krail. Together, they could make enemies see their worst memories, feel their worst pain. They touched his mind, and then they screamed. They fell to the ground, holding their heads, crying in fear. One of them shouted, "He has no fear. He has already seen the end." The crowd grew quiet. Then came the final trial. Not a creature, a machine, 10 meters tall, built from the bones of fallen warlords, controlled by the minds of the royal family. It had never lost a battle. The gates opened, and the machine stepped out, its footsteps shaking the arena. The warrior stood still, watching. The machine opened fire blades, plasma, missiles. The warrior vanished. One blink later, he was on its back, wires in his hand, pulling them like puppet strings. Within seconds, the machine shut down, smoke rising from its neck. Then he jumped down, landing in silence. The arena didn't cheer this time. They were stunned. The princess stood slowly, eyes locked on the human. "Why won't you kill?" He looked up at her. "Because this isn't war." She tilted her head, confused. "Then, what is it?" He turned to the silent crowd and spoke loudly. "It's a warning." Everyone froze. He pointed to the stars. "Something is coming. It eats planets, bends time, turns minds to dust." The princess laughed once, a weak, nervous sound. "You expect us to believe bedtime stories?" The warrior's voice was steady. "You will believe it when your skies burn." Then he looked her straight in the eyes. "Tomorrow, I fight you. No armor, no weapons, just truth." She didn't speak. Her heart beat faster than ever. She didn't understand why. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe, just maybe, it was respect. *, the palace was alive. Not with music, not with celebration, but with whispers. Guards moved faster than usual. Servants spoke in low voices. Doors that once stood open now remained locked. The princess noticed it all, but said nothing because something else was on her mind. The human. He had passed every trial without killing, moved like he had seen the future, and spoken words that made even her generals nervous. He was supposed to be a weapon, but now he was becoming a question. Who is he really? That night, while the stars blinked quietly above Zarian, the princess walked alone through the royal archives. Behind ancient scrolls and crystal walls was a door she had never opened. It was locked not by key, but by blood. She cut her palm gently, placed it on the glowing stone. The door opened with a low growl. A stairway led down into darkness. No guards followed. No torches lit the way. Only silence and the sound of her own breath. As she walked deeper, the air became colder, and the walls changed from smooth marble to something rough, something old, carved with symbols she couldn't read. Then she reached it, a room with glass walls, and inside, floating in thick blue liquid, were bodies, human bodies. Some were missing limbs. Some were awake and screaming silently. Some looked just like the warrior above, with glowing skin and silver eyes. All of them were tagged with numbers. One read, Subject 3. She stepped closer, her heart racing. A screen on the wall lit up, and a voice played. This is Commander Ryvek of the Outer Gene Division. The Zarian experiments have shown progress. Subject 3 escaped containment during Titan mission. Status: missing. The princess stepped back. Subject 3, the ghost of Titan, was not a myth. He was real. He was theirs, and they had made him, then lost him. She turned to leave but stopped. In the far corner of the room was another chamber. Its glass was black, and the screen above it read, Warning. Hybrid status, do not open. She stared at it for a long time, then walked away, back in the arena tunnels. The warrior stood silently, looking at the moon through a vent. The Milcore AI whispered in his mind. They kept the others alive. You saw the signal, I know. He answered quietly. They'll lie, they'll hide it, the voice said. They already are, he replied. He had known from the beginning. The mission wasn't just a warning, it was also a message. One the Zarians would soon hear in fire or peace. Just then, footsteps echoed in the hall. The princess appeared, walking toward him, slower than usual, her eyes full of questions. I went below, she said. He didn't turn to face her. You knew, didn't you? She asked. He nodded. You came here not just to warn us, she whispered. You came to expose us. Now he turned. His silver eyes locked with hers. You play gods with things you don't understand, he said. You take, break, and call. It's science, but what you made down there, what you hid, it's not finished. She clenched her fists. It was not my choice. Then choose now, he said calmly. Tell them the truth before it tells itself. The princess looked down. Ashamed for the first time in her life, he stepped past her, leaving only one sentence behind. Tomorrow, the throne won't be your only battle. She stared at herself in the mirror, but she didn't see a warrior. She didn't see a queen. She saw a mask. For years, the princess of Zarian had worn power like armor. Her voice made armies kneel. Her blade had spilled rivers of blood, but tonight, her hands were shaking because for the first time in her life, she wasn't sure she was the strongest one in the room. The human had changed everything, not just in the arena, but in her mind, in her bones. He fought without hate, warned without pride, and carried pain like a shadow, always with him, but never loud. And what scared her most was that she believed. Him, far away in the dark halls of the arena, the warrior stood alone, again. A broken shard of mirror in his hand reflected part of his face, half human, half something else. His scars shimmered like ancient circuitry under his skin. Your heart rate has slowed, said the AI in his mind. You're calm. I'm tired, he whispered. Of fighting. No, he said, of pretending I'm not still human. That night, the princess entered the observation room, hidden chamber behind the arena's walls, where the past was stored like forgotten dust. Screens flickered to life with a wave of her hand, showing recordings from the Ghost of Titan's missions. Files marked classified and Earth origin. At first, she saw battles, explosions, death. Silence. Then, something else. Footage of him carrying children out of burning stations. Kneeling beside a dying comrade, not saying a word, just holding his hand until it went cold. Video logs where he spoke to no one but himself, asking, "Do I still matter if I can't feel pain?" The princess watched every second, and when the last video ended, she sat in the dark and cried. Not because she was weak, but because she realized she didn't even know what strength meant anymore. The next day came like a rising storm. The arena was silent, not a cheer, not a sound, only eyes watching the center. Where the princess waited alone, she wore no armor, no crown, no weapon, just truth. Then he walked in, his steps calm, his face uncovered. No suit, no shield, just him, the man. Everyone called a ghost, now more alive than any of them. They faced each other. The sky above them glowing red with dust, a strange stillness in the air. Like the world itself was holding its breath. She spoke first. "Why didn't you kill anyone?" He looked at her. "Because I've seen what happens when people forget what mercy looks like." She stepped closer. "What are you really?" He didn't answer with words. He extended his hand, palm open, not for battle, but for peace. The princess stared at it, and slowly she took it. The crowd gasped, and for a moment, Zarian felt something it hadn't felt in 1,000 years. Hope. But hope doesn't stay quiet for long. Far above the arena, a shadow crossed the sky. Something massive. Something not from Zarian or Earth. The warrior looked up. His eyes narrowed. "They're here," he whispered. And the sky began to scream. Asterisk, the sky was bleeding fire. Ships black and silent tripped through the clouds like blades. No lights, no sound, just shadows moving fast. Faster than anything Zarian had seen before, the crowd in the arena looked up and screamed. The princess dropped the warrior's hand and turned toward the palace. Her voice roared across the stone walls. "Shields up, bring the royal fleet to the sky." But it was too late. One of the palace towers exploded in a wave of blue flame. Metal fell like rain, and panic swept through the capital like a virus. This was not a warning. This was an invasion. The warrior was already moving. Pulling the princess behind cover, guards surrounded them. Weapons ready, eyes wide with fear. One of them shouted, "These are not ours. They bear no royal crest." The warrior looked up at the descending ships, then whispered coldly, "It's them, them." The princess asked. He didn't blink. "The ones that erased Titan, the ones you thought were myths." A loud crack shook the arena floor. The ground split, revealing a hidden chamber beneath. From it rose a figure in heavy armor, not Earth's. Not Zarian's, but something ancient. A general, Zarian-born face hidden behind a gold mask. He walked through the flames like they were air. Beside him marched machines, twisted hybrids of alien tech and stolen Earth designs. The princess stepped forward. "General Myrick, what is this madness?" He removed his helmet slowly, showing a cold, scarred face. "Evolution, Your Highness," he said. "No more soft diplomacy. No more weak alliances. The stars belong to those who take them. You betrayed the throne." She growled. "I saved it," he replied, "by making a deal with the only real power left in the universe." He pointed up to the black ships, to the darkness swallowing the stars. The warrior stepped in front of the princess. "You don't know what you've brought here," Myrick smirked. "We brought strength, No, the warrior said quietly. You brought extinction. Without warning, Myrick raised his arm and fired. But the warrior was faster. He leaped through the smoke, catching the blast with his bare hand. His skin glowed. Nanotech pulsing, the guards around the princess opened fire. But the traitor's machines pushed forward, cutting them down. The princess grabbed a fallen blade. Her eyes locked on Myrick. You'll pay for this. You don't have time, he laughed. The deal has already begun. They're landing, just. Then, above the horizon, a massive ship appeared. So large it blocked the light from both suns. Its surface writhed. Not metal, but alive, like it was breathing. The warrior stared at it, face pale, voice flat. They brought a seed. What's a seed? The princess asked. A world eater, he said. Once it lands, your planet will never breathe again. Alarms rang across the city. The ground shook harder. Buildings began to crack. People ran. But there was nowhere to go. The princess turned. To him, can we stop it? He looked at her, eyes full of war and memory. Maybe, but not alone. She nodded once. No longer a ruler. Just a fighter. Side by side, they ran into the fire, and above them, the seed began to open. The sky was no longer a sky. It was a mouth, a black. Living things stretching above the city, veins of dark energy crawling across the clouds. The seed had opened, and it was hungry. Everything beneath it trembled. The palace had lost its crown. Towers burning, guards fleeing. The royal flags turned to ash in the wind. People prayed, screamed, or ran, but nowhere felt safe. Not anymore. And yet, in the center of all this, two figures stood still. The human and the princess. She was bruised. Her blade cracked blood on her lip. He was wounded too, sparks blinking from his ribs. His skin scorched where plasma had touched it, but they didn't fall. Not yet, because the sky hadn't taken everything. Not yet. The princess looked at the seed, her voice shaking. How do we kill something that eats worlds? The warrior's answer was quiet. We don't. We show it this one isn't ready to die. Behind them, the last of Zarian's defenders gathered. Soldiers, rebels, servants, anyone with a weapon and a reason to stand. Above them, the earth. Fleet had finally arrived, ships in silence, engines humming like war drums. One channel opened across all frequencies. The warrior spoke into it. This is Subject 3 of Earth's defense. You are not alone on Zarian's side, the princess raised her blade to the sky. This is your ruler, not asking, but commanding. Fight for your world, not with fear, but with fire. The seed responded. It screamed, not with sound, but with pure force. Waves of energy shattered buildings, gravity bent like paper. Machines crawled from its belly, not born, but built, each one worse than the last. And the battle began. It wasn't clean. It wasn't heroic. It was chaos. Metal against bone, flame against silence, air filled with dust and death. The princess fought like a storm, blades spinning, eyes burning. Beside her, the human moved like time had slowed, stodging, striking, shielding others with his own body. He found Myrick on the steps of the broken throne, the traitor bleeding but still smiling. You can't stop them. Myrick coughed. It's too late. The warrior knelt beside him. It was too late the moment you gave up. He stood and walked away, toward the seed, toward the end. The princess followed. Together, they reached the edge of the impact zone, where the seed's heart glowed, pulsing with a rhythm not of this world. The warrior turned to her. This is it, she nodded. I'm not afraid anymore. Good. He said, because this only works if both of us believe. He reached into his chest to the AI core pulsing inside his body and removed it. The light flared, his body staggered, but he smiled. He placed it in her hand. Take it to the center. It will burn the seed from inside, but only someone native to this planet can pass the barrier. She stepped back, eyes wide. You'll die. He nodded. I was never meant to live forever. She tried to speak, but he was already walking into the fire. A distraction, a sacrifice. A ghost walking into legend. The princess turned and ran toward the heart. Dodging claws, light, death. Her fingers burned, her feet bled, but she didn't stop. At the very core of the seed, she threw the AI into its light and screamed, "Remember our name." The explosion swallowed the sky. The seed cracked like glass, then shattered, and was gone. Silence, then wind, then light. When it cleared, the battlefield was smoke and silence. Ships hovered above. Survivors rose from dust, and in the center, where the seed had stood, the princess knelt. Holding a piece of armor, the crowd watched as she rose and spoke. "He came in armor," she said, voice loud and broken, "but it was his heart that saved us." And Zarian bowed, not to a human, but to a hero.